There's currently 6 foods I eat every single day that make up about 75% of my daily calories. Now, I do want to emphasize the word currently, as I'm always making tweaks and adjustments to what I'm eating to optimize my health. That said, a year ago, I posted a full food pyramid video where I explained that at that time, 25% of my calories were coming from ground beef, another 20% coming from other cuts of red meat, including elk, bison, venison, brisket, steaks, chuck roasts, and other forms of red meat, making 45% of my daily food intake coming from red meat. Then 25% of my food pyramid consisted of dairy, specifically milk, yogurt, and cheese, followed by 15% of my food intake coming from other kinds of animal foods, including salmon, sardines, bacon, butter, chicken, liver, lamb, and other animal foods. Then 10% of my calories came from fruits, specifically 3% coming from olive oil and the other 7% coming from other kinds of fruit. And the last 5% came from miscellaneous things like eggs, bone broth, honey, protein powder, seasonings, and random vegetables. Most people look at that food pyramid and go, oh, so Lillie must eat kind of a carnivore-ish or animal-based diet. And hey, you can call it whatever you like, but I'm not trying to eat any particular diet. I'm not trying to eat carnivore. I'm not trying to be low carb. I'm not trying to be animal-based. I'm trying to be healthy. So when it comes to foods and what I eat, I'm just trying to get in as many nutrients as possible for the best price and enjoy the foods that I'm eating. I eat the Lillie Kane diet, which just so happens to be an animal-based diet. If you're new to the channel, yes, my name's Lillie. I'm a certified nutrition health coach, and I'm on a mission to help people stop eating processed junk foods and start eating more single ingredient, real whole foods, as I believe the foods we put into our body directly impact our health and therefore quality of life. And in today's video, we're going to cover the 6 foods I eat every day, as they do make up, like 75% of my diet currently. And at the end of the video, cover that last 25% of my diet, showing my new updated full food pyramid before I release my updated blood work. Now, going back in time to last year's blood work, I will say I give it an A-. I think the majority of people in the world would love to have the blood panel I had last year, though I like to optimize and I would like an A+. To recap, some of the blood markers that stood out to me last year were my ferritin levels were slightly elevated. Ferritin is the storage form of iron, and these ferritin levels could have impacted my liver enzymes that were also just slightly elevated. And then this could have also impacted my cortisol, which was in normal range, but on the higher end of the normal range. Other things that stood out to me were my vitamin D levels were in range, but again, on the lower end of the normal range, and I'd like to have higher vitamin D levels. I also had selenium and copper levels that were in range, though on the lower end, and I want to bump those up. And probably the biggest thing to me that stood out was my ApoB being slightly elevated again, and I want to lower that ApoB number. This leads to the 6 foods I eat every day, the first thing being milk. Now, this isn't any ordinary kind of milk. This is milk straight from the udder that has not gone through the pasteurization process. I can't say exactly what this milk is because nowadays I get flagged, tagged, and silenced if I say the word of this kind of milk. Now, it's so surprising to me that I drink this every day because I grew up being told I was lactose intolerant. I never drank milk. I only ever had lactose-free milk, or I'd take an enzyme or supplements to help me digest like an ice cream cone when I was a little girl. So for me to now say I have milk every day is so mind-blowing. It was a few years ago where I learned about this kind of milk and how it has the enzyme in it, lactase, that breaks down the lactose, making it easier for people who may be lactose intolerant to digest. What I love about having milk in my diet is it is so simple to have. I don't have to cook anything. I don't have to boil anything. I just pour a couple cups in a glass, and it's the most simple way for me to get tons of nutrients and great things for the gut microbiome. I get this from my local farmer here in Missouri. Actually, 4 of the 6 foods I eat every day come from my farmer, so I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check them out. and my husband and I do weigh all of our food, mainly because it's a habit that he has from decades of bodybuilding and weighing his food as a result. But also we weigh our food because we tend to naturally undereat. And so we make sure to weigh our food to make sure we're eating enough. That way we don't undereat and wither away and turn into string beans. So we need to be forced to eat more food. And that's why we weigh our food to make sure we're having enough. So I do have 16 ounces on the dot every day, no more, no less, 16 ounces of milk for me. The second food I have every day nowadays is eggs. Now this is different than last year because in the previous food pyramid, I said that I would randomly have eggs and they weren't a staple in my diet, as I thought that eggs were causing me negative issues. And it wasn't until we went over my husband's blood work with Dr. Sabrina Solt, where she said sometimes people just need to take a break from eggs, give their gut just a rest period from having them, and then they can reintroduce the eggs and might not have any negative reactions from them. And so this gave us a lot of hope to test it out. And we have since been having 2 eggs a day and have no negative issues having them, which makes us so happy because we absolutely love eggs. I know some people make hard-boiled eggs, poached eggs, boiled eggs, over easy, sunny side up, but we just make scrambled eggs. I'll cook the whites thoroughly and then mix the yolks in at the end so as to not overcook the yolks. I am a creature of habit. I have no problem eating the same thing every day. So for breakfast for this last 6 months, I have had the same breakfast. It is 2 cups of milk, 2 eggs, and a piece of fruit. That piece of fruit rotates between apples, pears, oranges, and kiwis. And so that is my breakfast. The third food I have every day comes as no surprise. It's ground beef. Where do I even begin when talking about ground beef? It's incredibly nutritious, a great source of protein, healthy fats, lots of vitamins and minerals. It's affordable, it's easy to make, and to me, it is so tasty. I've had it every single day for the last 4 years, and it never gets old. On a day like today, I'm actually having very little ground beef. I'm only having about 3 ounces. Though other days like yesterday, I had 12 ounces. So I would say on average, I'm having probably a half a pound of ground beef daily. This may surprise some people, but this is grass-finished beef and I still drain the beef fat out of it. I will drain the juice out of it and throw it in the trash. I know. Because for me and my husband, we just don't digest a ton of rendered fat very well. It leads us going straight to the bathroom. And so instead, this leads to the fourth food I have every day being olive oil. I went into more detail about this in the previous food pyramid, but essentially I don't actually think most people in the US should be having olive oil because in the US grocery stores, there's been studies out there that over 80% of olive and avocado oils may be rancid or even have canola oil in them. And so this is a very particular kind of olive oil. I'll put on the screen the things that we look out for to make sure we're buying true olive oil. So we're pretty particular about the kind of olive oil we buy. In Europe, it may be a different story, but in the US grocery stores, there's not been an olive oil that I've wanted to buy. This particular olive oil is quite expensive. Often I'm asked, why wouldn't I just have more butter instead of olive oil? And I have no problems with butter. I eat butter, and I think that it can totally be a part of a healthy diet. It's just for me, I eat a ton of saturated fat. I eat probably 8 times the amount of saturated fat that's recommended. I get plenty of saturated fat from the beef, the other animal foods, the dairy, the milk, the other foods that I eat, that at a certain point, there's not really any added benefit to me to having just additional saturated fat. To me, it's kind of like protein. I eat a very protein-forward diet. I eat more protein than what's recommended, but then at a certain point, it's not gonna make sense for me to have 200 grams of protein in a day. It's like you get the benefit, and then at a certain point, there's no additional benefit to having extra protein. And that's kind of how I think about saturated fat. I have no issues having saturated fat. I eat plenty of saturated fat, but at a certain point, I'd rather just get a different kind of fat, get more monounsaturated fats from the olive oil, and then on top of that, get more antioxidants and polyphenols from the olive oil than from butter. Again, I eat butter. I'm not saying butter's bad. It's just part of my daily routine is having olive oil. True, real, not rancid, good quality olive oil. aside from food, I take 2 drops of Thorne's vitamin D3 K2 every morning. And then I do also take vitamin D3 on top of that because I take Thorne's mainly for the K2, and it just so happens to have a little bit of vitamin D, but not as much vitamin D as I would want. So then I do take a vitamin D3 capsule to have even more vitamin D, which I did this protocol prior to getting my blood work the previous year, and my vitamin D levels were still on the lower end of the normal range. So we'll see if anything has progressed and changed. And I really want to make a whole vitamin D video, so we'll talk more about this in another time. I also take 2 capsules of Bioptimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough every day. And for the month of August, you can get a free bottle of magnesium by using the link in the video description. I do have a 10% off discount code with Bioptimizers, which you can use anytime, but specifically to get the free bottle of magnesium, you have to use the link in the description. My discount code will not work to get that free bottle. You got to use the link. Why I love Bioptimizer's magnesium versus other brands is this is one of the only brands I've seen on the market that has 7 different forms of magnesium in it, which I can get the benefits of magnesium citrate, which is great for constipation, digestion. I can get the benefits of magnesium glycinate, great for sleep and relaxation. I'm getting the benefits of magnesium malate, great for chronic pain, migraines, and depression. I'm getting magnesium taurate, which can be great for heart health and for blood pressure. And so unlike other brands that may have 1 or 2 forms of magnesium in their bottle, this one has 7 different forms of magnesium that I'm able to reap the benefits of by taking these capsules. I'll take 1 with dinner and then 1 with my dessert. And I mean, it really helps with my sleep and relaxation. Again, I'll leave a link in the video description where you can get a free bottle of magnesium. You do have to pay for shipping, but even still, it's an incredibly affordable bottle of magnesium. And if it's not the month of August, then you can find my 10% off discount code in the description. The 5th food I have every day is yogurt. This is the raw kind. I have this as my dessert each night, with the 6th food I have every day being berries, specifically blueberries and dark cherries. The combo of these 2 in the evening time makes me happy. This is my dessert. I have 1 cup of yogurt and 1 cup of a combination of blueberries and dark cherries from Costco. And this is a way for me to end my night on something sweet, which makes me happy, but also gives me lots of great probiotics, great for the gut microbiome, and then different vitamins and minerals, some fiber and some carbs that helps me with my sleep. Like I said, these 6 foods I have every day, and they make up about 75% of my daily calories. And then there's this other 25%, which we're going to cover in the updated food pyramid, where nowadays 25% of my calories are still coming from ground beef. Another 25% comes from other animal foods like salmon, chicken, bacon, sardines, liver, eggs again being something I have daily. Then there's lamb, shrimp, steaks, oysters, carnivore bars, pork, and honey, all being a part of my weekly rotation. Some things like the rack of lamb, maybe shrimp, being a part of the monthly rotation. 23% of my calories are coming from dairy, the majority being milk, followed by yogurt, and then part of my weekly rotation, I have either butter or ghee. I'm not a big cheese person. I know some people love cheese. To me, I don't like the taste of cheese very much. Again, I know people are like, wait, hold on. Lillie doesn't like the taste of cheese, of coffee, of chocolate, and of honey. Yes, I probably need to go and get my tongue checked out, but it is what it is. I know I said I have honey part of my weekly rotation, but it's exclusively mixed in with food because I only like the taste of honey when it's put on top of a carnivore bar or mixed in with some yogurt. Otherwise, to me, the taste of honey is totally nasty. And then yeah, with you coffee drinkers out there, I don't understand. So sometimes I'll have cheese, but I can't even tell you the last time I had cheese. 22% of my calories are coming from fruits, the majority of that coming from olive oil. I'll have balsamic vinegar several times a week on top of my ground beef. I know it probably sounds strange, but balsamic on ground beef is delicious. I have those blueberries and cherries again every day. And then with my breakfast, I'll rotate in a fruit, either being apples, oranges, kiwis, pears. Very randomly will I have a banana. I don't do well with tons of banana in my diet. I love them, but they make me have a lot more dandruff. So I may have a few bananas a month. And then I will have avocados whenever I can get them on sale, and preferably not moldy, as my husband and I tend to find the avocados that are rotten and then we end up throwing them in the trash. But I do love avocados. The last 5% of my food pyramid comes from vegetables. We rotate in grilled onions, sauteed mushrooms, cooked carrots, broccoli, peas, Brussels sprouts, and some sweet potato. It was actually after I got my blood work done that Dr. Sabrina Solt suggested I might benefit by having something like broccoli in my diet. And I hadn't had broccoli for years at that point because I just always remembered it not tasting very good. I used to eat broccoli raw and yeah, I didn't love it. But now we absolutely cook all of our veggies. And when I had broccoli for the first time in years, I was like, oh my goodness, this thing tastes so delicious. And so we have, again, still incorporated some more vegetables in the rotation. Also, if throughout this video, you're like, I wonder why she brought this certain food in or why she took this certain food out. Usually the short answer I'm gonna have is, I think it should help move my blood markers in a positive direction, though soon we will see. I don't even have the blood work results yet, so I'll be curious to see what that does to my blood work. I know some people are going to say what matters most is the way that you feel rather than your blood work, and I agree. Though I don't feel much different than I did in the past. I'm still sleeping great, having lots of energy, putting on muscle, not getting sick, having clear skin, so I feel the same. I just want to see, how does this impact my lab work? Because sometimes we could have things going on underneath and our lab work's going to be a better indicator of what's going on with our health, even though we might feel like, oh, I never get headaches. Oh, I never have bloating. Oh, I always feel really good. But then underneath, we might be having something else going on with our health, and that blood work is going to be a good indicator to help us prevent things from escalating and getting worse. I'll leave links to all sorts of foods and discounts and my coaching services in the video description. I do work with people one-on-one where I help them create a meal plan. I do look at blood work. I answer lots of questions on how to optimize your health and create a strategy and a plan of attack to reach those goals, whether it be for weight loss, building muscle, overcoming an autoimmune condition. And so if you are interested in talking more one-on-one, there's a link in the description to my coaching rates and services. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one.